New Zealand Road Race Championships.
How are you feeling about round one?
Feeling good so far, yeah, pretty confident. Yesterday I went out and I knew the rain was coming, so I had to really hurry up, and so as soon as we were out on the track, I kind of put on a flyer and started drizzling, but that was enough to do it.
How's things going on with this year, both the 1,000 and the 600?
So far, so good. We're not too far off the pace. Qualified third for the 600 races today and fourth on the 1,000, so front row for both races, which is really all that matters. As long as you're on the front row, you're in with a decent start and should get away with the lead group all right. The 600 race is going to be a fairly hectic battle by the look of it.
First race from Invercargill, Teretonga for the 600 Sports Productions. Scott Charlton from Australia off the pole. Battle out in front early. Young Kiwi Sam Smith battling with Craig Sheriffs. That battle continued through the first race. Side by side across the line. Young Sam Smith racing the Power Horse Yamaha went on to take the first race. Here's the results. Sam Smith with the win in race one from Craig Sheriff. Scott Charlton third, James Smith fourth, followed by Derek McAdam, Brad Self, Andrew Stroud and Jason Holm.
First round of the new Road Race Champs and a win.
Yeah, no, really happy. It was a really hard race. Craig was riding really well, but the Yamaha had some good top speed, and it was handling really well around the turns, so we managed to come away with the win.
On to the Superbikes first race. Andrew Stroud, the top qualifier, the defending New Zealand Superbike champion. Big battle out in front with Robbie Bugden from Australia. Got the late call to come in and replace Ray Cleese, still out for the championship at the moment. Andrew Stroud chasing down Robbie Bugden. Stroud setting a new track record for Teretonga, a 59.268, and he's back here in front for the first race. A big battle out in front. Bugden pulls out of the draft on the main straight at Teretonga. And the Australian back into the lead. It was a big battle through the first race for the Superbikes. Down to the line, Robbie Bugden for the win in race number one. He held off Andrew Stroud for the win. Stroud second, Scott Charlton third, Craig Sheriffs fourth, followed by Hayden Fitzgerald, John Lowther, Robert Jackson, and another Australian, Chris Seaton.
Very hard race. Robbie just got past in that second to last lap and held on to it.
Yeah, it was. He got past me early on, and I got him back, and then he got me and managed to get within half a bite length on him at the end, but Robbie's a good rider. He's the guy that picked me for third in the Australian Championship, and he obviously knows what he's doing.
Andrew's, raced in Australia all last year, and he's, certainly showed that he's a very talented rider. And to come over here and race on his tracks is not an easy task.
Race two for the 600 Sports Productions. Keep an eye on Sam Smith. Gets a flyer of a start from the second row. He would have a battle for the entire 20 laps with Scott Charlton for the lead. Andrew Stroud back in the picture after a fall in the first race on the number 14 bike. Sam Smith, Scott Charlton, Craig Sheriffs, Andrew Stroud in that order. Fast flowing lines of Teretonga in the deep south. Big battles through the pack. There's Charlton there, just battling with lap traffic. It was like that for 20 laps, but Sam Smith taking his second win for the weekend ahead of Andrew Stroud. Scott Charlton third, Craig Sheriffs fourth, the defending series champion, followed by James Smith, Derek McAdam, Brad Self, and Jay Lawrence.
2 from 2, fantastic end to round one.
Yeah, we're sort of really happy. It sort of started the season off on the right note, and the Yamaha went really well all race. It just didn't fade. The tyres didn't seem to get any worse throughout the race, and they just hung the distance, and just I'm really happy.
So a big weekend for Sam Smith. He comes away from the 600 Sports Productions first round with the points lead from Scott Charlton, Andrew Stroud third, Craig Sheriffs fourth. Then it's James Smith, Derek McAdam, Brad Self, and Jay Lawrence. Onto the second race for the Superbikes. Andrew Stroud with a flyer off the start. Again, he would battle with Australian Robbie Bugden throughout the race. Bugden getting a little bit of a breakout here. The pair broke away from the chasing bunch. Andrew Stroud setting another new track record, lowering the mark to 58.931. You can see the ground he's made up over the last few laps. Andrew Stroud leading this lap. Back into the front he went, and they traded this position again over the entire 20-lap distance. Bugden out of the slipstream down the big straight. Back into the lead goes the Australian. These two were a good 7 or 8 seconds clear of Hayden Fitzgerald, but it was the Australian that came to the fore with 2 wins out of 2 for the weekend.
There's some great racing out there once again with Andrew. He was pushing me all the way, and it just came down to a little bit of tactics there, I think, in the end. And I just kind of sat behind him and tried to put a bit of pressure on him, but Stroudy never cracked, so I just had to get in front of him and just go
Robbie
for it.
Bugden 2 out of 2 for the weekend with the win in race 2 from Andrew Stroud, the new lap record holder at Teretonga. Hayden Fitzgerald third, followed by Scott Charlton, Craig Sheriffs, Brennan Marshall, Robert Jackson and Daniel Ormsby. And the points for the Superbikes after the first round at Teretonga: Robbie Bugden on 50 from Andrew Stroud on 40, Scott Charlton third on 29, Hayden Fitzgerald fourth on 27.
And one of the good things to come out of the racing at Teretonga was that the Trans-Tasman rivalry is good for the series. Robbie Bugden, the Australian, saying that Andrew Stroud would be a bit lonely at the front if he wasn't there. Certainly Stroud needing to be at the top of his game. Round 2 of the New Zealand Road Race Championship was at the Levels Raceway.
Australia's Robbie Bugden dominated the first round of Superbikes at the Sanyong New Zealand Road Race Champs at Teretonga. Can Andrew Stroud turn the tables at Timaru? And can Sam Smith stay on top of the 600 Sports Productions for round 2?
2 wins in round 1. How are you feeling after qualifying yesterday?
I'm really happy with qualifying. We qualified on the second row, so I think there's less of a drag to the first turn here. But I think with a good start, we can try and stick with the front bunch down the back straight there, and we should be in with a shot.
Aussie Chris Seaton was the pole sitter on the C-bike. Sam Smith having to come from the second row. Some big battles out in front. Defending 600 Sports Production champ Craig Sheriffs right in the heat of that battle with Scott Charlton. And another Australian, Chris Seaton. Sam Smith back there in fourth at the moment. The Australians battling out front. Scott Charlton now with the race lead from Chris Seaton. Craig Sheriffs with a beautiful pass. First on Seaton. Now he's chasing down Scott Charlton. This battle raged over 20 laps of the first heat of 600 Sports Production from Levels Raceway at Timaru. Here's the pass for the lead. Sheriffs down the inside into the lead and on his way to the victory and a new lap record for 600 Sports Productions, a 1 minute 6.199 lap for the defending champ. So Craig Sheriffs taking the honours in race 1 from Scott Charlton and Chris Seaton, Aussie second and third. Sam Smith fourth, Andrew Stroud fifth, followed by James Smith, Jay Lawrence and Brad Self.
That race was good. I sort of got a pretty average start, really. Didn't qualify that well yesterday, but it was damp, so I wasn't really too worried. First lap, I think I was about 6th place, but 20-lap race, so I managed to not stress out on it too much and just, had plenty of time to try and work my way forward.
Big grid for Superbikes race 1. Andrew Stroud qualifying on pole, just shading Robbie Bugden by 3/100ths of a second. Bugden jumping out to the early lead. Craig Sheriffs getting a fantastic start from grid number 4. Doing double duty for the championship on both 600 Sports Production and the Superbikes. Andrew Stroud back there in third. He was battling for most of the race with Aussie Chris Seaton. Craig Sheriff certainly didn't let Robbie Bugden have it all his own way. And for a while there, Andrew Stroud actually led. It was very, very close between Bugden, Sheriff, Stroud. The top 3 could throw a blanket over them. It was Robbie Bugden that came back to the fore for his third straight win in the championship. There's the checkered flag. Bugden to the line from Sheriff second, Andrew Stroud third. So Bugden with the win. Craig Sheriff second, Andrew Stroud third. Aussie Chris Seaton fourth. Another Aussie, Scott Charlton fifth, followed by Robert Jackson, John Lowther and Glenn Williams in eighth.
3 from 3, hard race.
Yeah, that was tough. That was one of the toughest races I've had, well, for a long time. But no, I just went out there and battled away, and I knew there was going to be a fight on towards the end, so I just tried to get the lead and just put my head down and went for it. And I think I was a little bit lucky in the end there, but managed to get it home.
Chris Seaton led away from the pole for race 2 for the 600 Sports Productions. Again, the two Australians battling out front. Sam Smith just off the back of them. 34 Brad Self in those pictures as well. Seaton and Charlton going at it for race 2 and 600 Sports Productions. Sam Smith not quite having the weekend he did at the first round at Teretonga. Craig Sheriffs would come into the picture and start battling with the Australians for the lead. Again, 15 laps. Long way around Levels Raceway at Timaru. Gave the opportunity for Sheriffs to get into the lead, the defending series champion. And he would set another lap record of 1 minute 6.007 on his way to the win in race number 2 at Timaru for the 600 Sports Productions. So Craig Sheriffs with the win in race number 2. Scott Charlton second, Chris Seaton third, Sam Smith holds on to fourth, Andrew Stroud fifth. Then it was Jay Lawrence, James Smith and Derek McAdam rounding out the top 8. For the points, Craig Sheriffs now takes over the point lead. Scott Charlton second, Sam Smith third, Andrew Stroud fourth. Then it's James Smith, Chris Seaton, Jay Lawrence and Derek McAdam. Second race for the weekend, the final race for the Superbikes from Timaru. And again, it was the Robbie Bugden, Andrew Stroud and Craig Sheriff show in the early laps. Another 15 lapper for the Superbikes. Suzuki's dominating. Bugden and Stroud had a huge battle. Bugden looking for his 4th consecutive win in the championship after 2 rounds. Andrew Stroud into the lead here, and Craig Sheriff's never too far away, back there in 3rd. Then on lap 8, Robbie Bugden fell, handing a big gap out in front to Andrew Stroud. Craig Sheriff's now 2nd. There's the gap back to the leader. Stroud, Sheriffs and Scott Charlton out of the picture in 3rd. That was a big call for the championship as Craig Sheriff started to make a run on Andrew Stroud late in the race. And that fall for Robbie Bugden proving crucial in the points chase. Andrew Stroud with the final race of the weekend for Superbikes ahead of Craig Sheriffs. Scott Charlton, Chris Seaton, John Lowther was 5th ahead of Robert Jackson, Daniel Ormsby and Glenn Williams.
I was pretty determined going into that one, and Robbie was out front and put in some good laps. I think they're kind of lap record times, pretty close to it. And yeah, managed to get him, and I looked around and he was gone. So unfortunate for him.
And Robbie Bugden's DNF crucial in the points. Andrew Stroud, now the points leader in Superbike on 81 ahead of Bugden, 2nd on 75. Craig Sheriff's 3rd on 64. Scott Charlton 4th on 56.
I think I'm the one with the target on the back. It's like the Yamaha's just running really well. Like we've managed to get a really, really good setup here for this weekend. So we're ready.
Craig, 3rd round of the road race champs. You must be happy with the first 2.
Yeah, wasn't overly happy with the first round, but I knew that was going to be hard anyway, and we went real good last weekend in Timaru. Came out of that leading the 600 and went quick here last year, quicker than what most of the guys have been this weekend. So I know I can go that quick. I've just got to get into it.
Pace has been pretty red hot in 600s.
Yeah, definitely. Craig stepped it up a new level this year, and also Sam Smith coming along good on the Yamaha as well. I had a bad start on round 1 down Invercargill, fell off and was unable to compete in the 2 races, but come back to Timaru 2/3 and hoping to capitalise on that this weekend.
Well, this is the first of the 600cc races, and you heard Chris Seaton mention Sam Smith. We'll watch for him, bike number 88. Time to bring in Paul Pavletic to the commentary position, and look at the start that Sam Smith's got, Pav.
Yeah, he's been practicing those starts, and look at the dividend it's paying. Craig Sheriff's had a pretty ordinary practice session, I'd have to say. Yesterday he was around that 4th or 5th spot, which is unlike him. Remember, he's a 2-time 600 champion.
Well, you got the bird's eye view as we take the onboard shot from Derek McAdam. Meantime, Sam Smith heads into pothole. In second place, it is Chris Seaton by the look of it, and then it might be Scott Charlton through in third. Now, where is the defending champion? He's back in 4th place, and Andrew Stroud even further behind. And the Aussie puts the move on Sam Smith through the hairpin. Can he make it stick? No, Smith takes it straight back.
Like, Sam gets great starts, and then he seems to just relax a little bit in the first part of the lap, and he gets mugged. You know, he's going to have to raise his intensity if he's going to duke it out at World Championship level.
So Chris Seaton back in the front on the Bernard Racing Pirelli Shod Yamaha. And Sam Smith in second place. Now, cast your mind back to a year ago, Pav. It was Suzuki's calling the shot. Now we've got 3 Yamahas at the front of the field.
Oh, these Yamahas are superb motorcycles. You know, they're the pick of the crop this year. They're dynoing it at 120 horsepower. And that's 3 or 4 more than the opposition. Not a lot, but it sure is hard to close that gap.
Well, it makes a difference, doesn't it, as we head down into the Dipper. They're running the big circuit here at Ruapuna Park, so it means more chance to pass, more chance for racing down the short chute. Coming into the sweeper now, it is Seaton in the front. This is the Eric Wood Motorcycles 600 Sports Production class, and it is Yamahas 1, 2, 3, Suzuki's 4 and 5 and 6, and Seaton just about onto the grass. Sam Smith now joining the charge in second place.
I'm looking forward to, Phil, to see how Sam responds, because last year and earlier in the year he's been really bullied by these...
that's how he responds, Pav. Down the inside through turn 1. We're back on board here with Derek McAdam. You get a graphic example of just how fast this corner is. It really sneaks up on the riders. They've got to go down through the gearbox, hard on the brake, and sort of have 2 bites at it.
These Aussie boys have bullied Sam though up until now. I'm looking to see how he can fight back.
Well, that's right. I mean, cast your mind back a year ago, and he did get the, pretty much the hard word from the Australians and some of the veterans in the New Zealand fields. Then he was just a youngster. Now he's done a season in Australia racing hard, and he's come back here as a man possessed. We're on board with McAdam as he works his... McAdam's gone down! Oh, it's the...
Commentator's curse.
That is the end of our coverage from Derek McAdam, I'm sure of it. He goes to pick up the bike, finished 3rd in the 600 Sports Production class last year, but won't go too much further in this one.
Oh, no.
So we go back to the racing. There is number 2, Andrew Stroud. Now, Stroud, he's not having a very good run here, Pav.
He's doing his best. Remember, look, he has got a little bit of a disadvantage on these 600. He's 6'2", he's a big guy, he's skinny and fit, but, you know, aerodynamically, he's suffering, I believe.
Just up ahead of Andrew Stroud, it is Scott Charlton, number C, another one of the Bernard Racing Pirelli Shod Yamahas. And you know what's happening at the front of the field. It is Sam Smith and Chris Seaton battling it out. And now we see the presence of Craig Sheriffs. I wondered when he was going to make his move. So Sheriffs up to second place now.
He sure is.
Make it third. Smith's gone round the outside of him.
Yeah, look, Sheriff's responding great. Look, yesterday, he was just not on the pace. He's obviously had a good night's sleep, talked to his mechanics, and he's come out fighting and firing on all cylinders today.
Well, there's wreckage strewn all around the racetrack. So another bike on its side there as we watch this battle. This is bike number 7, James Smith. Now, he's a local, so he's had track knowledge, and he's currently sitting at about 6th or 7th place, so he's there or thereabouts, but he can't quite match the pace of this young man.
Smith, too, he really has just cracked the pace up. He's knocked down to 33.5-second lap time. That is unbelievably fast. It's nearly a second faster than the lap record.
Well, I wonder too, Pav, if the Kiwis are a little bit better through the traffic, because they've encountered lap riders now, and there's a bit of a gap opening up between Sam Smith, Craig Sheriffs, and also Scott Charlton.
I think Smith's just said, I've got to get out of the way of these boys. I'm not going to get bullied again, and he's just put the hammer down, and he's just left them behind.
Well, he's had the perfect upbringing, hasn't he? He comes under the tutelage of Dave Cole, and Dave told him to just take it easy at Wanganui, just race round. He did some pretty amazing things there, did some pretty amazing things in round 1 and 2 in the National Championship, and he is stunning the big crowd here at Ruapuna. Here's the chase. This is Chris Seaton.
Cole understands small bikes too. You know, he's ridden 600s and Formula 2 bikes, and he's been a multiple national champion. So, you know, he couldn't have a better mentor and mechanic.
Look at Andrew Stroud trying to get up the inside as they come through the big sweeper at the top end of the circuit here at Ruapuna, and now down this long back straight. Well, it's actually the front straight, but it's it's probably the longest straight in motor racing. I think it's just a hair longer than the new one at Taupo. And a change from the Yamahas ahead of Andrew Stroud.
Phil, these guys are probably wondering what's going on. They're riding their hearts out and their lap times are flash, but Sam Smith's vanishing.
Well, that's right. Sam and Craig Sheriffs are further up the racetrack, and here is this young sensation, the Power Horse Energy Drink Yamaha Shoei-sponsored Sam Smith from Auckland. Look at the lead he's got now from the defending champion, Craig Sheriffs, bike number 1, the Haldane Motorcycles Suzuki.
The ace in his sleeve too. He's super good round fast corners. He's fearless.
Well, there's plenty of fast corners here at Ruapuna as he works his way around the infield here.
Oh, he's riding on Dunlops too, and you know, that's a real big bonus for the Dunlop company. They'll be all smiles.
Well, perhaps we should mention the tyre war, because for a long time it was Pirelli that was ruling the roost, but now the experts tell us that maybe the Dunlop has the edge, Pav.
Well, Phil, every year, you know, they all get a bit of a march. They're working their factory flat out to try and find some technology, and I think this year Dunlop have certainly found it.
In and out of the dipper goes Sam Smith on his winning way here in this Eric Wood Motorcycles 600 sports production race. It is Yamaha that's going to carry the day. Round the big sweeper at the top end of the racetrack he goes once again, heading down past the pit straight now. Big wheelie, he knows he's done enough. The checkered flag comes out and Sam Smith wins it, and wins it easily. Second place, well, there's a bit of a wait back for Craig Sheriffs in second place. Third place went to Yamaha mounted Scott Charlton, and in fourth it was Suzuki's Andrew Stroud. Fifth place was another Aussie, Britt Seeker.
You really look like you were doing it easy and a new lap record as well.
Yeah, like the Yamaha R6, I just can't say enough about them. You know, like they were down the straight, like they had really good speed, and out of the corners was extremely good acceleration, and that's sort of, I think, where I was gaining most of the sort of the time. It was excellent.
They must be worried now.
Yeah, I think it's good sort of going into the GP with a bit of a, you know, sort of we know that we can do it. So I think if we sort of a couple of little changes here and there to the suspension, but nothing major, because it was handling really well, and we're just going to go out there and try and do the same.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
600s, you find them difficult to ride?
I like riding them. They're fun to ride, but I do have trouble tucking in down the straight, so I'm probably sticking out the wind a bit more than normal. And a bit heavier, probably lose a bit of acceleration, but overall they're great. You can get pretty aggressive with them and slide them around.
That was a difficult race for you, Chris.
Yes, I got a good start. That's what I was looking for, and just trying to block Sam early, because I knew he had some fast pace around the track, and I knew he'd make a break if I didn't stop him early.
You sure did stop him early. I think you rocked him back on his heels when you went past him like that.
Well, that's what I was looking to do. You know, it's not a nice thing to do, but you know, our setup's still not quite as good as his, and you know, I just had to do what I had to do.
So this is a chance to have a look at one of the other successful classes in New Zealand motorcycling. This is the Street and Sport Motorcycle supported Formula 3, and out into the front it's number 1, and that is Terry Fitzgerald, and he is the man in this class, isn't he, Pav?
Well, he sure has. He's won an awful amount of championships, and this is a great development class too. A lot of club guys get into national Formula 3 because, you know, you've got a bit of an open checkbook there on how much you can spend. There's all sorts of combination of bikes. That's a V-twin out front. That's a 4-cylinder bike in second place, and a single-cylinder bike in third.
Well, that's right. Perhaps we should mention number 77. This is Andy Bolwell from Timaru, and he's a bit of a master around Ruapuna, so maybe if Terry's going to have any problem at all, it's going to come from the Kawasaki in second place.
Yeah, that Kawasaki's a jet. I'd have to say it's probably the fastest bike out there. They really developed it, you know, beautifully, and full credit to their engineers.
Well, the bike in third place, number 3 now, this is Jason Easton. Now, he is a bit of a thinker in the class. This is what he calls a Tigcraft 450. It's powered by a single-cylinder 450 Yamaha engine, but it's in a 125 Honda frame. And he's had a lot of success on this bike, Pav.
Oh, he has, particularly on the tighter circuits. And, you know, if he's going to win, this is a good place to do it around here, because the thing's definitely going to handle better than the street bikes that he's competing against at the moment.
So into Cockram Nissan, and we've got a new race leader already, and it is Jason Easton on the Tigcraft, Terry Fitzgerald in second place, then it's Andy Bolwell, and I think it's Jason Nairn through in fourth. We'll have a good look at that. But look at this bike. It really is, it's the epitome of Kiwi ingenuity.
It sure is. You know, it accelerates incredible, it stops good, and it brakes good. Just doesn't quite have the top speed of the 4-cylinder bike.
And I'm right in saying it's basically a 125 GP chassis with a Yamaha motocross engine in it.
Oh, weigh nothing too. I reckon you'd probably find it weighs under 100 kgs, which is, you know, just what you need.
So Jason Easton, the son of Ian, infamous in all types of motorsport, out in the front. Andy Bolwell goes through into second place, dives around the outside of Terry Fitzgerald under braking. Now, you don't see too many people doing that, Pav.
No, look, you know, Terry Fitzgerald should write a book on road racing. He never puts a foot wrong, beautifully smooth, and that's probably why he's had so many championships.
Well, it's an amazing story too. Terry had a bit of a break from racing, had a bit of a cancer scare, but now he's back to his very, very best, and he's being monstered by his Taranaki teammate there, Jason Nairn, through in fourth place.
Oh, he's looking great, Phil. You know, he really has recovered well, and he's such a nice guy.
So it is the Tickcraft 450 of Jason Easton out in the front, 77 Bolwell in second, then it's Fitzgerald, then it's Nairn, then I think it's Glenn Williams, number 226. We'll probably get a look at him a little bit later on. Look at the way Bolwell's hanging off the side of that Kawasaki.
I wonder if we'll get a chance to see how fast this Kawasaki is down the front straight, because it's sort of like hits warp drive in Star Trek and just vanishes.
Well, as I said before, he's been the man to beat at Ruapuna. He's had this bike for a long time.
Yeah, that's what it's about too. You know, at this level, it's not a huge amount of money, and they just chip away, you know, each year, do a little bit more development, and they get to know these machines intimately.
Well, into the dipper, and this is maybe where the pass will come now. Bolwell very protective of his lines. Terry Fitzgerald right in behind him. This is the battle for second and third at the moment, and this is the battle for the lead as Jason Easton goes round a couple of lap riders, and you can see how fast this 450cc powered machine is. Number 81 there, trying to match his pace, is Glenn Agate.
It's a pretty hot lap time too. He's just done a 38.4. 1 minute 38.4. It's excellent lap time.
Well, let's face it, they're on the biggest configuration of the track here at Powerbuilt Tools Ruapuna International Raceway, the 3.440 kilometre track, including the dipper. They don't use the dipper too often, but when they do, it's a recipe for excitement.
This bike's really loud too, though. I think they're going to have to do a bit of work on that muffler, Phil.
Number 31's had enough. This is Frank Wood. He lets should I say, Easton go by it. And that's what's so great about the New Zealand Road Racing Championship, the sportsmanship involved.
Well, too, there's a lot of clubmen in this class, and it's really, really healthy. And these guys, they're not going to mess it up for the championship contenders.
Well, this guy's certainly one of those. Jason Easton out of the Manawatu, bike number 3 in complete control of this one. Andy Bolwell, the last time we looked, was in second place. Then it was Fitzgerald. Then it was Jason Nairn, both those two out of Taranaki. And then it was Glenn Williams and Kyle Key.
Interesting too, they've done a whole lot of different combinations on this motor. You know, 425, 450, 480, and they reckon the best combination is the bog stock 450. It revs really hard, the motor's balanced good, but it's pumping out 55 horsepower at the rear wheel, which is pretty impressive.
Well, it's been a long time in development, but I think he's really getting to the best of it now.
That's a motocross engine, Phil, and you know how indestructible those Yamaha motocross bikes are.
Well, Jason Easton making it a little bit boring in the Formula 3, brought to you by Street and Sport Motorcycle. And even more important is this is the Grand Prix event here at Ruapuna, so Jason Easton's going to win that well. He looks behind, there's no one there. Clear track ahead of him, clear track behind him. Jason Easton wins the Grand Prix for Formula 3s. In second place, it will be Andy Bolwell on the Kawasaki. And in third place, it's Yamaha's Terry Fitzgerald. Fourth place goes to Jason Nairn. And in fifth, Glenn Williams.
Stick around for more racing after the break.
Welcome back. You know, I must admit that I didn't know a lot about Kiwi Burt Munro and his achievements until I saw the movie The World's Fastest Indian, of course. A great film that celebrated motorcycles, Invercargill and that Kiwi get-it-done attitude. Well, we could have another inspirational Kiwi heading to the big screen. This is why we're celebrating. We'll talk of a film about the life of motorsport icon Bruce McLaren. You name it, he did it, from riding his homemade trolleys down Auckland streets to circuits around the world like Can-Am circuits, Le Mans, of course, Indy 500 and Formula 1. His name still lines up on the grid today. Apparently the script is in development and should begin shooting next year. And if there's a part for a short Māori guy, call me. All right, let's head back to Ruapuna and more from the bikes.
Welcome back to Powerball Tools Ruapuna for the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Race Championships, and this is race 1 for the Superbikes, brought to you by Murray Costello Car. And a fantastic start from Robbie Bugden. Pav, he was a sensation in the previous 2 rounds when you consider he'd never seen the tracks before.
The guy's a freak in the most positive manner. He just turns up, goes out, does 15 laps, and he's on lap record pace. And you know, we've had some seriously good riders come here over the years. That's how good this bloke is.
Well, he finished 3rd in the Australian Superbike title last season. He's come out here as a bit of a precursor to Australia next year. There he is, bike number R, half off the bike. It's 56, Craig Sheriff. Now, we got to mention Craig because we all know he's a demon on a 600cc machine. This is his first full season as a serious contender on a 1000cc Suzuki in the Superbike.
Yeah, he sure is adapting to it well, but Andrew Stroud got a shocking start. He's miles back.
So it is the Yoshimura Suzuki of number R. Robbie Bugden out in the front. Craig Sheriff's in second place. We mentioned that Stroudy didn't get a good start, Pav, but you can't write the guy off, especially on a Superbike.
No way, you'd be a fool to write Andrew Stroud off. You know, he'll put the hammer down and he'll get those Pirellis cracking.
Well, he's just in behind Scott Charlton and Chris Seaton, so it's the Bernard Racing Pirelli shod Ssangyong Yamahas. And then it is Andrew Stroud. He's got a bit of work to do at the moment, and while he's struggling at the back, well, not so much the back, but probably in about 5th or 6th, this guy's just starting to get away.
Well, remember, Andrew Stroud held the outright lap record here for a long time on the Britain motorcycles. I think it lasted for about 8 or 9 years. So he knows his way around here really, really well. He lived here for a long time.
Well, and we know the speeds they've done in qualifying, and a lot of people said, oh, no one will ever break that record on a Suzuki bike or on a super bike. Maybe we might see that go today.
Oh, there's nothing sure. These Suzukis are incredibly powerful. Like they dynoed out at 190 plus horsepower. Scary stuff.
So it is Bugden, then it is Sheriff's. And look how light the back wheel gets as they come into the first turn here, the Flexiplas first turn, heading through potholes. Sheriff's makes a little bit of ground on Robbie Bugden from Queensland.
Tyres are critical too. When you've got that much horsepower, you've got to have absolutely state-of-the-art tyres. They're just going to smoke up and flick you off otherwise.
Chris Seaton's made a move on Scott Charlton, but here comes the brother Suzuki of Andrew Stroud down the inside as they head into the hairpin. Hasn't got track position yet, but give him a lap or two, he'll just worry Seaton to death. That's what he's done in the previous rounds.
His size isn't a problem on one of these big monsters as well, because it's got so much horsepower, it just overrides it.
And a good ride coming in there from Brendan Marshall, one of the locals, bike number 9, just in behind Andrew Stroud at the moment.
Oh, he's on fire, and this is probably the best ride I've seen from Brendan. He's flying. Look at Stroudy on that beast. He's just got to hang on so hard. These second and third gear corners are really difficult on these monsters.
You see the bike dive down in the suspension as they go down to the brakes through the Jeff Deliveries turn, heading up to Cochrane Nissan now. The left-right, it happens so fast at the speed these guys are going, and then into the dipper.
Now first gear coming out of that dipper, and boy, you've got to hang on because look at the black lines coming out. They just smoke up.
Look at this battle here. It's the Australian Chris Seaton, then it's Andrew Stroud, then it's Brendan Marshall. Marshall's certainly not giving anything away, and then it is Scott Charlton. Here's the battle at the front of the field, and Craig Sheriff, well, he's known as the last of the late breakers, so Bugden won't want to relax one iota. Down the front straight they come once again. Suzuki at the top of the field in this, the Murray Costello Cars Superbike race, round number 1.
Oh, they're really cracking the pace on now. They're down to 32.8.
This is Hayden Fitzgerald we're on board with here.
And this is amazing. Like Hayden Fitzgerald had the most monumental crash at Timaru. Crashed at over 220 kilometres an hour. You know, he's battered and bruised, but he's out there doing the business for Honda now, and they've got to be really happy with his efforts.
Well, let's talk about the miles an hour, Pav, because they're hitting 280, 290 down here, aren't they?
280 kilometres an hour, yep. That's full steam.
And then this is the ride into the Flexiplas first turn. Hayden Fitzgerald providing the pictures. He's back in 7th place at the moment, and there's a big gap back to Scott Charlton. This is what's happening at the front of the field, though. This is bike number 1, Andrew Stroud. Now, just up ahead of him, it's Robbie Bugden, but I can tell you we've had a leader change because Fielding's Craig Sheriffs has got into the front on his Haldane Motorcycles GSXR 1000. This now the battle for 2nd and 3rd.
Wow. Andrew Stroud is the fastest man on the track. He's just cracked a 32.4. Awesome riding. We talked about it, you know, when the chips are down and he has to pull something out of the bag, Andrew Stroud, he just keeps doing it. He seems to have the ability to pick the pace up whenever he really needs to.
And look how they close up going through the dipper. It looked like Craig Sheriff's had a bit of breathing room. Well, that's all gone now as they head down into the big sweeper at the top end of the track. There is Sheriff, there is Bugden, and there is Andrew Stroud.
I actually reckon that the Pirellis are smoking up a bit harder than the Dunlops out front at the moment. Just not quite the traction. Could be wrong.
Nothing in it now. Pav and Bugden pulls into the front. Now can Craig Sheriff do anything about it under brakes? He's tried it before down there. It didn't work. They get close, but the station is held the same. Or is it? Have I spoken too soon out of the obscurity of the Yamaha sign. It's Bugden in the front, through pothole, heading up to the hairpin now. Sheriff's not quite close enough to challenge, and Stroud right on Craig Sheriff's now.
Stroud, he has to respond, you know, like he knows how fast Bugden is. He knows that this guy's a freak. He's got to do some damage control. He's second at the moment.
Well, that's right. Robbie Bugden finishing third in the Australian Superbike title. Andrew Stroud, of course, finished fourth. Jamie Stauffer won it on the Yamaha. He's not here, but we have got the man in third, and there he is in the front at the moment. Andrew Stroud starts to work on him now on the brother Suzuki.
These two guys, they're professional road racers, and they can't believe how quickly Craig Sheriff's adapted to the Suzuki 1000. They're going, wow, this guy's good.
Well, we saw him basically have his first competition ride on a superbike, and that was at Pyra last year. He did a pretty good job there, and he told me he's done a few laps, and that was his exact words. I've done a few laps around Manfield, and that's all. Oh, and there's a big crash here, and that is a high-speed crash, and that is number 28, Rob Jackson, and the red flags have come out, so the race will be stopped. There is Jackson, amazingly up on his feet.
He'll be black and blue tonight.
That was a huge, huge accident. Well, we can tell you the race has been declared, and that means Robbie Bugden is the winner. Second place is Craig Sheriff's, and in third place it's Andrew Stroud. Fourth went to the local man, Brendan Mark.
Lead swapped a few times in that one.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough race, actually. It was a little bit disappointing that it got finished a couple of laps early, because I knew it was going to be all on there between, I seen Stroud, he got back onto me and Craig, so I knew it was going to be on for that last lap, you know, and just ready to have a last-ditch effort, but they stopped it. But you know, from what I understand, I think I won it. So you know, that's what we went out there to do, and I'm happy enough. Yeah.
For a while there, it didn't look like you had any answer for Craig, and then suddenly you just came back.
Yeah, I was just having a bit of a look at him, seeing where he was fast, having a few handling problems with my bike that we're trying to get on the top of just now. But no, I was just sort of sat back in there and let him run the pace, you know, and I just kind of tucked in behind him, and I knew seen where I was stronger, and I seen where he was a little bit stronger, and I tried to work on the areas that he was stronger. And then, yeah, once it came down a few laps to go, I thought it was game on, so I just went for it. Thanks.
Well, this is the Colin Hooper Memorial New Zealand Grand Prix for the sidecar, so a pretty special occasion, and a great start coming from number 3, Scrivener and Brian. And away goes number 2, and that is the Prentice boys, Stu and Darren Prentice.
Love checking out the engines in these, Phil. There's so many different combinations. You know, there's big 1300cc Hayabusas. People are slotting in a lot of these GSXR 1000 engines now because, you know, they're just bulletproof, and they pump out a huge amount of horsepower. Still, the Lawrence boys still running that 600.
Well, they must have qualified well, Pav, because they were on the front row. They've gone back to 4th place now. But it is rig number 3 out in the front, Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan. Sowersby Engineering builds the rig. Suzuki is the power. These guys don't do the Battle of the Streets competition any longer because Andy has a little bit of a problem with one of his arms and gets really bad arm pump up. But when they're on the circuits, they are virtually unbeatable.
So smooth too. You can just tell the guys that have been doing it a while, they just flow.
On board here with the Lawrence brothers, this is a battle for 4th place. Just up ahead of them, I think it's Stephen Bron and Dion Wheeler. We'll just get a check on that. No, it's not. That might be them further up, and they've bought the Australian rig that has been the dominant rig here in New Zealand over the last 2 seasons, and you would have seen it in our Wanganui coverage at the hands of the owners, Stacey Seller and Wanganui's Darren Abrahams, and it is virtually unbeatable.
Look, if you want to get a world-class rig, you know, they're very expensive. They're paying $120,000 odd for these things. You know, they're state-of-the-art equipment.
Have a look at this. You get a graphic example of just how hard the swinger works. It is by no means an armchair ride.
Well, I was lucky enough to have a skid in one of these, and it just about tore my arms out. You've got to be really, really fit and agile to do this.
Round the top end of Ruapuna Park and down the long front straight, it is Scrivener in the front. And here comes the Sangyong rig in 2nd place.
Just magnificent looking machine, this, you know, it's beautiful.
And what we'll see here, unlike we saw at Wanganui, these bikes are finesse machines. You don't back it in and slide it into the corners sideways. You steer it round the corners. That's how you make these things go fast. And look at Stephen Bron and Dion Wheeler now putting the acid on Scrivener and Steve Bryan.
That's right, too. If you start pitching them in sideways, all you're doing is scrubbing speed off, Phil. Now, the fast guys know exactly what to do.
They come out of pothole heading down into the Calford Camtech hairpin now. And it's just a matter of just rolling the throttle, isn't it, Pav? You don't grab a big handful.
It's good too. Good to see the girls getting involved. There's a lot of girls getting into this motorcycle sidecar swinging.
3 is your race leader, Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan. Andy Scrivener, of course, a past champion in the sidecar ranks. We're back on board here with the Lawrence brothers. They're currently in 4th place.
Pretty quick lap times too. They're down to 1:45. That's a good lap time.
Well, when you consider that these guys, the Red Baron Motorcycles sidecar of the Lawrence brothers, is a 600cc machine. All the others in front of it are over 1,000cc.
Obviously got much better cornering speed because there's no way on earth this 600 will punch out of the turns of those big 1,100 and 1,300cc bikes.
I'm sure everyone likes to ask this question, and I asked of them in Wanganui. I said, what's going to happen? Are you going to build a bigger rig? They said, yes, it's coming next year. We'll have a big engine in the rig.
Well, what's going on here? Are they pretty waving to the fans or problems?
Well, Andy Scrivener, you know, he's not really a showboater, so I'm not too sure, Pat. Maybe I don't know if they've got a problem. No, the thumbs up, so they're looking pretty good. They've got a big lead. They know they've got it in the bag. Oh, look at this. They are showboating for the big crowd here at Ruapuna for the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Race Championship. It's round number 3, and it's an important win for Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan because they take the Sidecar Grand Prix from Stephen Bryan and Dion Wheeldon in second place and Chris and Richie Lawrence in third.
Andy, you did make it look easy, mate.
Yeah, we weren't actually around lap record time or anything, so like we just did enough to stay in front and put out a few good ones in the start there and just kept the distance and we held it. And I noticed Steve on the LCR had slowed down a little bit, so I just slowed it down as well and made it easy for him because I tell you, the short rigs are definitely by far the hardest thing to swing on as opposed to long rigs. And anybody who can hang on to that thing when it's going 2-pointing onto the front straight with the back wheel, 45-degree angle from the front, and he's still hanging on there under hard acceleration, he's the man, I tell you. There's not a single other swinger out there that could do what he's done. He's a legend, I tell you. Thanks, Steve.
Keep the lip zipped.
The one show that could save you a fortune.
35,000.
It's going to be won or lost by making a break, isn't it? Because once you're in that freight train, it's anybody's.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're going to try and sort of get a good start and have a strong first few laps. The strategy is, in theory, to sort of try and build a bit of a lead, sort of maybe 2 to 3 seconds. That way, if we do encounter back markers, then we sort of have got a bit of a buffer. But no, we're really looking forward to it.
Thanks, mate.
Well, this is the big one for the Eric Wood Motorcycles 600 Sports production here at the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Racing Championship. It is the New Zealand Grand Prix, and once again we see an amazing start from Sam Smith. He's going to lead them into the Flexoplast turn. It looks like, well, it'll be Andrew Stroud that'll slot up into second, Pab. Well, so he's got a good start for a change.
Yeah, that's a much better start by Andrew Stroud. Let's see if Sam holds it. Like in the last few races, he's got these cracker starts, and then they've just mauled him.
So young Sam Smith out of Auckland on the Power Horse Energy Drink. Shoei Yamaha out in the front. Stroud in second place. Then it's Seaton on the Ssangyong Brian Bernard Racing Yamaha. Coming up the inside of him, his fellow Australian, and that is Scott Charlton. Now, where is Craig Sheriff? There he is. Just got a glimpse of him back in 4th or 5th.
Well, it won't be long and he'll be pushing forward too because, you know, he's very, very sharp round Christchurch. Stroudy, he's not used to being, you know, 3rd, 4th and 5th. He's a 7-time New Zealand Superbike champion. This is an unusual position for him to be following people.
Well, you did say, and he mentioned it as well, Pav, he's a long, tall drink of water, really, Andrew Stroud. Maybe a bit gangly for these smaller 600s. Maybe that doesn't make such a difference on the big bike, but if you give away any advantage at all, you're going to pay.
Well, internationally, you know, the top competitors are all weighing around 65 kgs and they're little shorties, they're jockeys.
Well, they're coming back at Sam Smith as he turns it into the dipper here. Stroud in second place, then it's Seaton, then it's Charlton. Then I think we just got a glimpse of the Haldane Suzuki of Craig Sheriff, the defending national champion, back in 5th place. Now, he won't like that. He's a racer's racer. He'll want to be up the front of this field.
Absolutely. It's great to see these Aussie boys here too. They're really, really good ambassadors for Australia. Super professional. They give 120% too. I love seeing them here.
Well, both these guys, S and C, Chris Seaton and Scott Charlton, here last year. They really did light up the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Race Championship. Obviously, they're going for the win, but they were a pleasure to deal with, and they really did provide some amazing racing.
Oh, Brian Bernard's very, very happy with them. You know, he said they just couldn't ask for more. And these Yamahas too, like Peter Payne from Yamaha was all smiles when I saw him in the pits because he knows that this year they've got a bit of a march.
Out of pothole, heading down into the hairpin now. Sam Smith sits up, so does Andrew Stroud. Stroud on the brother Suzuki sits up in second place, gets a little bit closer to Sam Smith, but it's so hard to pass around there, even on a motorbike. We've seen it virtually impossible in a car, and a motorbike just the same.
Well, it's always easier when you're following to outbrake somebody because you know what you've got to do, but when you're out front at this level, just those extra 4 or 5 feet of braking, not quite sure. And that's the difficulty Sam's got at the moment.
Back on board here with Derek McAdam, and he's following one of the Bernard Racing Ssangyong Yamahas just ahead of him. I think it might be Chris Seaton. So he's the first of the Kawasaki riders, the man out of Wellington, Derek McAdam, finished third in the national title chase on the 600 last year. Here comes the challenge from Sam Smith, and this is Chris Seaton down the inside of him. So it must have been Charlton that McAdam was following, and Seaton hits the front as they hit the dipper again. Sam Smith, well, he's got to regain his thoughts. He's got to get his concentration back. He's got to pull this attack back or he's in trouble.
Oh, he will. Like, he must be sick of getting mugged because he's got the speed. Nothing surer. I don't think I've ever seen anybody go around fast sweeping corners quicker than this kid.
Well, this is the fast sweeping corner onto the long front straight here at Ruapuna. It is Seaton, Smith, Stroud, and then it is Craig Sheriffs. Now, unaccustomed to see Craig Sheriffs not get good starts, but he's tacking onto the end of this bunch. And there is Scott Charlton just behind Sheriffs.
This is where Sam's good, this fast left-hander at the end of the front straight.
Well, he's good, all right, Pav, because he's past Chris Seaton and he's back in the front. The youngster from Auckland.
He just doesn't button off. Like, that Yamaha handle's perfect.
Well, it certainly does, and as they come out of pothole and head down to the hairpin, the positions are completely reversed from the previous lap. It's Smith, Seaton, then it's Stroud, then it's Sheriffs, and then it is Scott Charlton, and they've all bunched up now, so we are going to see an absolutely exciting race in the closing stage of this. Smith, the youngster, leading the Aussie, the grizzled Aussie veterans.
Isn't it incredible? Because for so long, Suzuki was absolutely dominant in this class. I can't remember, when they haven't won it. And now Yamaha's doing the business.
They certainly are. They're 1 and 2 at the moment. It's Andrew Stroud through in third place, just looking for the defending champion. There he is, bike number 1. That is Craig Sheriffs out of fielding on the Haldane motorcycle Suzuki. Oh, Seaton's run it wide.
Man,
well,
that was close. He nearly clipped his wheel.
We said he was aggressive last year, and you called it, Pav. He just about clipped Sam Smith as they headed out of the Nissan turn. Now they're in the dipper, and he's got to regain his thoughts now.
Hey, this is getting scary. These guys are at it. They're duking it out.
And now Craig Sheriffs has driven down the inside. Andrew Stroud said, "Get over, I'm coming through," and he's done just that. So Sheriff's into third. Oh, I might have spoken too soon. He's looking for second. He's looking at Seaton as they come onto the long straight. Now this will tell you, Pav, who's got the edge. Sam Smith out in the front, but Seaton and Sheriff's exited the turn pretty close together. Has the Suzuki got the legs? We're back on board here with Derek McAdam on the Kawasaki, and just ahead of him it's Scott Charlton, and this is the battle. Can you believe it? With all the racing going on, this is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th place at the moment.
Oh, it sounds like a symphony. Listen to that motor screaming. 16,500 revs. Beautiful.
Well, if you can hear the engine, you'll hear the note change as they go onto the brakes. We go back to the front of the field, and Sheriffs now challenging Sam Smith.
See him back it in there. That's pretty brave stuff.
And remember, they're on the 600cc machines. You'll see Craig out in the superbikes a little bit later on, and you'll see this guy out there as well. All the Bernard Racing Yamaha boys race the 2 classes here. This is Chris Seaton. He's got to think about it again and have another attack. Meantime, at the front, it is a Yamaha, but it is Sam Smith.
Well, it's getting pretty serious out there. You can just see their body language. They're really aggressive.
So this is the battle. Smith in the front, then it's Sheriffs, then it is Seaton. They work their way through the Jeff's delivery turn, heading down into Nissan and into the dipper now. Oh, and they're going to come up on lap traffic. Now this could make a big difference, and the first one to come up on them will be young Sam Smith. Now, has the racing in Australia hardened him up a bit? Oh, it certainly has. He takes the wheel at Daniel McLaughlin, and he takes Craig Sheriffs. Oh, Sheriffs is beside himself. He's gone from challenging to second to sitting on the grass.
I can hear him swearing from here, Phil.
Well, look at this. While we've been watching that action, Chris Seaton's come up the outside of Sam Smith, and Smith takes it back. Jeez. Well, he's grown another leg, the youngster from Auckland, and he's got the race lead, and I think he's got the win. It's a drag race to the flag, but Sam Smith does it, and that is Craig Sheriff, and you don't see that too often. Here it is on the replay. Watch number 88, dives down the inside. Just a little don't argue to Daniel McLaughlin, and the outcome is not good for Craig Sheriff.
Oh, Craig Sheriff was very lucky then that didn't land on him.
So the results after an absolutely pulsating Grand Prix, it is Sam Smith, the New Zealand Grand Prix holder, from Chris Seaton, Andrew Stroud and Scott Charlton.
That was a heck of a race.
Yeah, that was very busy. It was had to work a lot harder than the first race. The track temperature was a little bit colder. I was struggling with drive a little bit out of turns. That's sort of where Craig and Chris Seaton was sort of catching me. And that last lap was just, yeah, that was pretty scary.
All came down to it in the dipper with a bit of lap traffic, huh?
That's right, yeah. I think I sort of saw the Kawasaki, and I knew that my only chance was to get underneath him, and I just went for it, and unfortunately he has gone down, so I'm going to have to see how he is, because it was my fault, but it was just one of those racing things. You just see it and you just got to go for the gap.
weren't going to lose it on the last lap, huh?
No, that's right. I sort of led pretty much the whole race, and as I said, no, I can't give it away on the last lap, and it's a New Zealand GP win, a title in itself, so I'm very happy.
Thanks, mate. All came down that last lap in the dipper.
Yep, didn't quite work out. I thought I had a pretty good plan going on there for a while, but there's always back markers in racing, especially on the last lap. I thought I was just far enough. I thought I was actually going to get around the back marker and Sam at the same time, but Sam done exactly what I would have done if I was on his side of the track and stuffed it in there, and the poor old back marker got a bit of a fright, I think, and just stood it up and hooked me in the arm, and that was it. I was out of control once I got hit.
After 3 rounds of the championship, it is Sam Smith first with 123.5 points from Craig Sheriffs on the Suzuki and Scott Charlton on the Yamaha, 105.5 points for him. Well, we've just seen Sam Smith win the Grand Prix for the 600s. This is the Grand Prix for the Superbikes. Murray Costello cars bring it to you. And a rocket ship start from Andrew Stroud. We've been saying all day, hasn't been getting good starts. He's saved his best for last, and he'll lead them into the Flexiflash first turn.
That's the best start he's got all season. It's a beauty.
So they come out of turn 1, heading for pothole now. Number 1, Andrew Stroud in the front. 56, Craig Sheriffs in second place. And then it's a couple of Yamahas, and that'll be Scott Charlton and Chris Seaton. And Robbie Bugden is there as well.
Shocking start for Bugden. He's really got a bit of work ahead of him. Andrew Stroud, he has the ability to do a bit of a bolter here too.
Into the hairpin for the first time. This is the New Zealand Grand Prix, so there's all sorts of prestige in winning this title.
Well, what Bugden's got to be worried about, he's going to get held up by the two in front of him, and Andrew Stroud, he's pulling away.
So Stroud on the brother Suzuki out in the front. You heard us mention that he's tall. You can see the way he hangs off the bike. He is absolutely all legs.
Well, when you've got 190 horsepower plus at your command of that right wrist, it's not going to be a problem.
Through the Jeff's delivery turn, heading up for Cochrane Nissan now. You see him shift his weight and make it through the left-hander. Now into the dipper. Stroud in the front. But it's early going in the Murray Costello Cars New Zealand Grand Prix here at round number 3 of the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Racing Championship. Ruapuna is the venue, and it's been kind to Andrew Stroud.
Yeah, see the way short shifted that big Suzuki then? Didn't want to wheel spin it. And look, this guy is so smooth. He's won 7 Superbike titles. Brilliant rider.
Well, there's been a change in second place. It's one of the Yamahas. It's Chris Seaton now up ahead of Craig Sheriffs. Then it's Robbie Bugden. Don't discount Bugden on the Yoshimura Suzuki. Second to the brother Suzuki's here for this weekend, and he's starting to put the hurt on Craig Sheriffs, and down the inside he goes. So Robbie Bugden moves up a spot. No, he doesn't. Sheriffs takes him straight back.
Sheriff's not taking any prisoners. You know, he's just, look at this, what brilliant drive.
Well, Craig, I think maybe overcooked it coming into the turn there, and Robbie Bugden just a little bit more smooth, and he moves up into third place.
He's smart enough to know too, when these things start wheel spinning, you better respect them.
Oh, and how hard is Seaton on the brakes coming into the hairpin, the bike fishtailing underneath them. Bugden can't do anything about it at the moment, though.
Bugden will be really frustrated because he's got the pace. You know, he's been half a second lap quicker than these guys in front, and he needs to dispatch them. For Stroud, he's bolting.
Well, that's right. You can't give him an inch either. They work through the infield here at Powerbuilt Tools International Raceway, Ruapuna Park. We're watching Robbie Bugden, and he's really been the hired gun for Suzuki in New Zealand. He came to the first round, he'd never seen the track before, stunned everybody. Came to the second round, never seen the track before, stunned everyone. Now he's playing second or third fiddle, make it, to Andrew Stroud and also Chris Seaton.
You know, this bike he's riding is a magnificent motorcycle too. It's prepared by Ray Clee, so you know the things flash.
Well, that's right, Pav, and the rumours are that Ray will be back for maybe the final round in Auckland.
Yeah, his arm's recovering, so let's hope he comes back.
Bugden doing a fantastic job as the stand-in rider, the second of the brother Suzuki team. This is a Yoshimura prepared machine, and he is back in third place. You see Andrew Stroud, a big wheelie down the front straight.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be pulling wheel stands because he's wasting time.
Seaton, Bugden, then it is Craig Sheriffs. Oh, Bugden down the inside, he mugs Chris Seaton just the same way he did to Craig Sheriffs the lap before.
Yeah, that's where you've got to make up the time on the fast sweepers. That's where you really start cracking the good lap times. Now we're going to see some fireworks. What this guy has in reserve, because he's got a lot of hard work ahead of him if he's going to catch Andrew Stroud.
Well, that's right. He's got quite an advantage at the moment. His Andrew Stroud. There is Bugden in second place, heading into the hairpin now. Then it's Chris Seaton. Craig Sheriffs has closed up the gap as well. He's right on the tail of Chris Seaton now, so there's real racing going on here in early stages in the New Zealand Grand Prix. This is the one everyone wants to win, Pav.
It sure is, and look, Stroudy's just cracked a 31.9, and that's under the old lap record. He's really trying hard.
Well, we talked about it before, didn't we? All the sage heads on the pit road said that the record would tumble, and it's fitting that Andrew Stroud gets it because he is the existing lap record holder, as you said earlier.
Yeah, Buckton, though, he's just so aggressive and controlled. You know, I think Andrew's going to have a fight on his hands shortly. He's pulling away from the other Aussies.
He is. He's getting away from Chris Seaton on the Bernard Racing, SsangYong, Pirelli Shod, Yamaha. Then it's Craig Sheriffs on the Haldane Motorcycles, Suzuki. But they are playing the support act, if you like, to the main event, and that's further up the racetrack, and it's Andrew Stroud, and Robbie Bugden is starting to close him down.
Holy smoke! Bugden's just done a 31.1. Unbelievable.
Well, you can see the pace is on, and you can probably see visually that the gap is starting to close. But look at this, Craig Sheriffs, he's a racer's racer. He's not going to give this up without a fight. It's his first full season on the Superbike, and he wants to get around Chris Seaton.
Well, look, they just don't have an answer.
He's done it. Seaton outbraked himself, and Sheriffs goes up the inside.
Well,
now can he stay there?
There's three.
No, he can't.
Suzuki.
Oh, look at this. This is the battle at the front. Pav and Bugden's all over Andrew Stroud. Their teammates here in New Zealand. Doesn't count for anything. Heading into the braking area for the hairpin. Side by side, they just about rub fairings. Stroud comes back up the inside. Can't make it stick, or can he?
Wow.
No, he can't.
This is a tyre war too, because Bugden's on Dunlops and Stroudy's on Pirellis. You know, these bikes are very, very similar horsepower.
Well, these guys fought it out in the Australian Superbike title. Robbie Bugden finished third and Andrew Stroud finished fourth, and they are this close through most of the series. And look at this. The big crowd will be on their feet here, working the infield loop here through the carousel at Ruapuna, heading down into Jeff Delivery's turn. Oh, I thought Andrew Stroud was going to try on the outside.
And so did I. He's going to have a go on the inside.
Big slide from Stroud. Heading through Nissan now, heading for the Dipper. Robbie Bugden in the front. Stroud in second place, Suzuki on Suzuki. This is the Murray Costello Cars New Zealand Grand Prix, and it's the Australian calling the shots now.
Did you see Bugden's eyes? They look like saucers.
Well, they can be saucers because he's about to pick up the New Zealand Grand Prix title. Stroud's going to have a go at him as they come round the sweeper for the last time, but the Grand Prix title is heading across to Australia. It is letter R that's going to win the New Zealand Grand Prix, and there's nothing Andrew Stroud can do about it. So Robbie Bugden wins the Grand Prix from Andrew Stroud. In third place, it will be Craig Sheriffs. He got up ahead of Chris Seaton. And in fifth place, another Australian in Scott Charlton.
Robbie, where did that speed suddenly come from in the last few laps?
Well, to be honest with you, I thought off the start line we'll just go out there and have a bit of a look around and, you know, hopefully get on behind whoever's leading and just run their pace. But Stroudy made no secret of what his intention was, and that was to get out in front and just go. So I kind of got caught up, and by the time I got past those couple of guys, I just had to go for it. And early on, I didn't think I'd have enough laps to run him down. You know, I knew he was capable of running a good pace, and I just went for it, basically. I just put my head down and just went for it. And, yeah, managed to get him there with a lap to spare, and had to put a pretty big move on him to get past him on that last lap. But, you know, hadn't come all that way, done all that hard work to finish second, so I sort of just had to make it work.
Andrew, did you see him coming?
Not really, no. Not till the very end, not till the last maybe 2 or 3 laps or so. And the first race I had the hardest Pirellis they have, and then that one I had the softest, and it was good for quite a while. And at the end there started to slide a bit, and just when I kind of saw he was coming, so there wasn't much I could do.
Good, mate, this championship, it's looking pretty tense for you now.
It is. Yeah, Robbie will have an 8-point lead now. 2 rounds to go, but still, we won't be giving up.
It's come down to a two-way battle in the Superbikes with Robbie Bugden on top with 125. 8 points adrift is Andrew Stroud, and in third place it's Craig Sheriffs.